How were you able to scale to this position where you're looked on as an expert, seeing you network and make connections around the room? How can someone be able to aspire to where you've gotten in your career so far?
Hard work. It doesn't really happen overnight. I didn't get to where I am, and there's still a long way for me to go. I've been in this industry for over a decade. My advice to people is...
Hey, what's up guys? I'm here with CEO Collins Mayaki. We are here at this lovely event put on by The Advisor. I just have a quick question for you. There's a lot of newcomers here in the New Broker Academy, this type of event helping people. What advice would you have for people who are looking to get in the industry?
Well, there is so much resources out there. You know, when I look back to when I first got into the industry, there wasn't really that much support. Now we've got things like this where, you know, new to industry can come in to soak up knowledge, to speak to other people who've been in the industry for a year or two or even over a decade. The advice I'll give to them is come to events like this. Come network, come meet people on the same kind of level playing field with you that are just starting out. But the most important thing is that you've got to understand as a new broker is don't try to get it perfect. It's all about starting now. Make the decision in terms of, do I go through a franchise or do I go through an aggregator? Decide. Hey, I know you're enjoying this video. For any inquiries and mentorship opportunity, which I would be really looking forward to working with you, in this description below you can get all my details, and I look forward to working with you soon. Sort of industry body am I going to join? Am I joining the FBAA or am I joining the MFAA? Bottom line, start. And you learn as you go. Start networking, start having conversations, start sending out communication to your networks within your phone. Your phone is going to be your best friend. So just start. That would be the advice.
Wow, that's amazing. And then I want to touch on, you know, for the young entrepreneurs out there, when it actually comes to, let's say, investment properties or purchasing their first property. I know there's an initiation called the first home buyers.
Yes.
Now, do you help, let's say, young entrepreneurs get into that and be able to buy the first investment property, or is it a property for them to live in?
Well, it can be either of both, but most cases, when you're talking about the first-time buyers, the main concerns or the main difficulties people first into the property market is the savings deposit. If we're to look at Sydney, for example, a lot of the time people could actually service the mortgage repayment on a home loan, but they don't just have the initial deposit. So looking towards the area of a first home buyer deposit grants, or the government incentive, the state incentive, the federal government incentive, things where you can come up with as little as 2% or 5% and avoid paying, you know, stamp duty. So taking advantage of that as a first home buyer would really help to get your foot into the property market. So the advice I always say to people is understand your first home doesn't have to be your dream home. I'll say that again. Your first home doesn't have to be your dream home. So what do I mean by that is it doesn't have to tick all the boxes. It could be a stepping stone to your dream home.
Okay, so that's let's stay on this topic here. Does someone look to, let's say, if they're going to look into the first home buyers, you know, like you said, there's 2%, 5%, wherever, you know, people come to you for that advice. But is it to live in it or to invest in it? And I know maybe if there's rules and regulations and advice or anything, but tips in, should I look to buy in terms of living there with the first home buyers, or using it as an investment property?
Well, if you're going to be leveraging off the government's incentive, then it has to be under the first homeowners grant. The core purpose of it has to be based on the fact that you're going to live in it, right? Now, you know, as long as you've met all the criteria that is required within the regulation and within the government as well, I think most of the incentive required to stay there for 6 to 12 months in the actual property. After that, you know, if you deem the property not to be suitable for you to reside in, you can always convert it to an investment property. But to take advantage of the government incentive, to take advantage of the federal incentive, it must be for the core purpose of you living in the property.
Okay, and you did touch on it earlier. Let's say in Sydney, right, for young entrepreneurs looking to buy their first property in Sydney, is there, you know, great deals for them to be able to do that in terms of utilizing the first home buyers?
Absolutely, there are. There's a lot of incentive out there. You know, as I said, you've got a federal incentive, you've got a state incentive, you've got a stamp duty, complete annihilation. You don't have to worry about it because stamp duty in New South Wales could be up to like 4% of the property value itself. So not having to worry about that and coming up with as little as 5% or 2% in some cases, it's the difference between someone having to come up with 10%. So if you're looking at a property worth $1 million, which that seems to be the average property value in Sydney, and you're not really getting that much home, then we're talking about 100,000 in minimum deposit for someone that doesn't have any government incentive that they could take advantage of. So, not having to have to save for 100,000 really goes a long way. So, if you've got 50,000, 60,000, you'd be surprised you can actually get into a home. Depending on the home value too as well, some people can actually get into a home with as little as $40,000,
wow.
$50,000,
$40,000,
$50,000, leveraging of the government incentive as well.
And so that's also like a service that you do provide if someone is coming and say, look, I want to get my first home, Collins, and utilize that. They come to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and as we are here at this event, and you are an industry leader, just to wrap up, how did you get to where you are in a short sentence? Like, how were you able to scale to this position where you're looked on as an expert, and seeing you network and make connections around the room, how can someone be able to aspire to where you've gotten in your career so far?
One word: hard work. It doesn't really happen overnight. I didn't get to where I am, and there's still a long way for me to go. I've been in this industry for over a decade. There's still so much work that needs to be done. My advice to people is you decide in terms of what you want to do, where you want to be, put your head down and start working. Be very disciplined, be consistent at it, stick to it. There's going to be rough patches, ups and downs, but stick to it. And I can almost guarantee you that if you put in the work and you're consistent at putting in the work, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you guys have been following along Collins Mayaki's day and the life of what he gets up to. And please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.